Hello again, YouTube. My name is Kenny Espinoza, and I'm doing the intro because of reasons. Okay. No, seriously. What I'm gonna do, um, because I have been stricken by the yearn to possibly one day become a voice actor. You know, kind of inspired a little bit by like Markiplier and whatnot. Because of his rich, buttery, damn it, because his rich, buttery voice that no one can resist, even the guys. Let's see. And the reason I'm actually doing this is because well, people have told me, or at least one person has told me that I have a nice voice. Anyway, so to pass the time a little bit, I'm gonna read out loud a chapter of Limitless by Jim Quick. Sorry, Jim Quick, if you care that this is on YouTube. I mean, either way, it's probably gonna end up on YouTube anyway. But you know, I only wanted to read a chapter, so if you would forgive me for that. It's not even chapter 1, it's chapter part 3. Part 3. Why doesn't this have chapters? Okay, I'm going to be reading the intro to part 3 and then chapter 7. Then I'm going to move on to another book. This is just me, like, starting from where I read off. And mind you, when I like to read out loud, only when I like to read out loud, not so much when I read in my head. Well, I used to. I used to be like that when I was a kid, but not so much when I was an adult. When I became an adult, and now, but out loud, I like to. I don't know, do silly things every once in a while, and I have my habits. And of course, I'm not perfect. I'm gonna misread a word, etc. And this camera is way too much to be right. I want to be centered on my own screen. God, why am I doing this? Okay. Part 3. Limitless. Motivation. The why. Oh, this is one of my favorites. I like the idea of the why. It keeps on coming up in all my readings. I wish I had a bigger library. Yeah. In the movie Limitless, writer Eddie Moore was completely unmotivated, unfocused, and had no energy. When he popped the pill, that made him suddenly take action. His life drastically changed for the better because he was able to make things happen. Let's unlimit a few lies commonly held around motivation. Now, LIES is one of those acronyms. Is LIE. I'm not going to explain it because I don't remember what it is. I haven't been reading this book. Also, I don't remember. So, I don't care to go back through the book to remember and to explain it. Especially because I will be explaining it to nobody. And it would be explaining it to myself, so I guess I could do that. But I'm just not feeling it, bro. Let's unlimit a few lies commonly held around motivation. Contrary to, that was horrible. How do you spell? How do you spell? How do you speak? Contrary to popular belief, like your mindset, motivation is not fixed. No one has a set level of motivation. And when people say they are unmotivated, it's not completely true. They could have a high level of motivation, stay in bed, and watch TV. Motivation Motivation also doesn't mean you must enjoy something that you need to do. My friend, entrepreneur Tom Biliu, can't pronounce that name, hates working out, and he has a clear and compelling reason to do so. So he does it every morning. I really don't like taking taking cold showers, but I do it daily. I'll explain why in chapter 8. Finally, finally, motivation is not something you can wake up with or not. We put ourselves in a trance when we say, I don't have any motivation. Motivation is not something you have, it's something you do. And it's entirely sustainable. Unlike a warm bath, it's not something that you experience for a moment and then lose unless you heat it up again. Motivation isn't derived from a seminar that temporarily pumps you up. It's a process. And since it's strategy, you have control over it and can create it consistently by following the right recipe. Here's the formula. Motivation equals purpose times energy times S cubed. When you combine purpose, energy, and small simple steps, S cubed, you get sustainable motivation. And the ultimate form of motivation is a state of flow. Think about it as energy management. Sorry, I'm getting over COVID. Creating it, investing it, and not wasting it. Yeah. A clear purpose or reason gives you energy. Practices you employ cultivate energy for your brain and the rest of your body. A small, simple step requires little energy. In this section, we'll talk about how to cultivate powerful, sustainable motivation around learning and life that lasts. We'll achieve this by getting clear on our purpose, fostering the mental and physical energy that will sustain you, establishing small, simple steps, and tapping flow states. Purpose drives us to act, and our purpose must be clear enough that we know why we're acting and what we're hoping to gain. Generating sufficient energy is vital, and you're tired or sleepy if your brain is foggy, and you won't have the fuel to take action. Small steps take minimal effort and keep you from being paralyzed and overwhelmed. And finally, finding flow is the ultimate boon to motivation. Reasons reap results. Jim Quick. Let me get some water. I don't know if you guys would be able to hear me. Also, there's nobody there, so I'm technically talking to myself. Would be. Don't look at me like that. You know that we're both. You know that I am half crazy. I should check out whether or not that video was actually making I don't know, had good sound. I guess I could do that now. Oop. I want to hope that. Alrighty, I am live. Plain shitty house webcam. Me as a human being. So I'm going to do a reading. I'm not going to tell you the book because it'll make it easier. Because it'll make it harder to figure out whether or not you know, it's not my book, by the way. I mean, like I didn't write this. All right. Whoa, there's all right. Whoa, there's all right. Testing, testing. That's a little bit better. Testing. That's a little bit better. All right. Just hanging out with me and I don't have boys. Sad. I want this to be on here, but for some reason the fan seems to be making more noise. Also, it's still in the shot, so it can be heard by it. So you can't get a hearing of my rich, buttery voice. It's not so rich or buttery. It says buttery as a butter knife. Wait, what? All right. Chapter 7 Purpose. It's purpose that binds us, that drives us. It's purpose that compels us. We're all here because of you, Mr. Anderson. We are here because you're trying to take what from what was the line? We are here to take from us as never mind. We are here to take from you what you try to take from us. Purpose. I almost have that line remembered. I didn't try too hard to remember it. Chapter 7 Purpose. How do certain defining phrases determine who you are? How do your values define you? What does your sense of purpose say about who you are? For the longest time, my kryptonite was a lack of sleep. Sleep has never been easy for me. As a kid for years, I was pulling regular all-nighters, studying long hours, trying to compensate for my learning challenges, which seemed to be developing because you weren't sleeping. I developed bad sleeping problems, again, because you weren't sleeping. I was always tired at school, again, or wasn't sleeping. But I would plow through the fatigue anyway because I had a strong desire to work hard and make my family proud. My purpose, my reasons were super clear. So I was plenty motivated. After I learned accelerated, af- even after I, even after I learned accelerated learning skills at age 18, and I no longer had to put in crazy hours, my sleeplessness continued into adulthood and has grown steadily worse. 2 or 4 hours total of very interrupted sleep for about 20 years. Ugh, your brain must be a mess. The longer you go without sleep, the harder it becomes to maintain a sense of reality, or motivation for that matter. Lack of sleep compromises all your cognitive skills, your focus, your memory, and your overall brain health. A common contributing factor for depression and many mood disorders is lack of sleep. I can attest to the dark places I found myself in as a result of lack of sleep. My intense speaking and global travel schedules certainly did not help. One year, I was on the road for 235 days. That's a lot. Time zones, jet lag, unfamiliar stale hotels. You get the picture. And my brain was feeling it. Just imagine a memory expert forgetting what city he is waking up in. This puzzled me because, as a long time meditation student, my mind was not ruminating or racing at night. It was as calm as it could be. It was only a handful of years ago when I ended up hospitalized for multiple nights without rest. After I participated in an overnight sleep study and was diagnosed with severe obstructive sleep apnea, or physical disorder where evidently I stopped breathing more than 200 times each night and every night. Today, after multiple treatments, I'm happy to say my sleep schedule is worlds better. Once I was able to fix this physical obstruction with surgery, I was then able to optimize my sleep with a number of tools I will cover in Chapter 8. My hands are getting tired. During my most difficult moments, I ask myself, why continue to do what I do? Why struggle when I could easily tell myself, I don't have the energy for this? As a child, my purpose and motive for taking action, was to compensate my lack of talent with hard work, to prove myself I was capable. But once I leveled up my learning, why did I continue to work so hard? despite being exhausted, sleep deprived, and an extreme introvert. To make speech after speech, video after video, podcast after podcast. It's the same thing that drove me as a child. I have clear and definite purpose. I don't want anyone to struggle and suffer this way I did. The mission that drives me is to unlock better, brighter brains. Often, our greatest struggles lead to our greatest strengths. With great power comes great responsibility. My two biggest challenges as a child were learning and public speaking. Life has a sense of humor because I spent most of my life public speaking on learning. Ouch. I felt that a little. I couldn't read, and now I teach people from all over the world how to read better. I struggle to understand my brain, and now I speak in front of audiences in of thousands to help them understand the amazing tools I possess. I've learned there is a gift in most challenges. In the same way, decades of sleep has got me two very important lessons. First, it's forced me to live everything in this book. I wouldn't be able to perform at the level I do without the tools I've learned, so I've doubled down on everything I teach. I rarely have to prepare for a speech because I use these skills every single day. I live them. It's who I am. Second, I have to become really clear on my purpose, my identity, my values, and my reasons for doing what I do every day. When you don't sleep, you have a very limited amount of energy and focus. You don't waste it. You prioritize and get crystal clear about your commitments and why you are making them. All of those choices have led to an inexhaustible motivation. That's what we'll talk about in this chapter. You seem to be talking about what you're going to talk about this chapter, but you failed to actually talk about it. Why? Okay, nuts and bolts. Start with why. That's probably offensive to somebody. I'm sorry, I do that. I should be looking into the camera. Instead, I'm looking over here, like a spaz. I don't know what a spaz is. I'm definitely not one. I don't know what it is. I don't know why I called myself that. What is a spaz? Somebody define a spaz. Nobody here? I could Google it. It's Googleable. Man, this is a long chapter. I think I'm going to stop here with this chapter because I already read like a good amount. Maybe TikTok. Maybe this is not my platform.